Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Family Law Talk.
Family Law Talk.
Presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC, with offices in the Midwest. Stange Law Firm is a family law firm. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is ways to enrich yourself while going through a divorce. Is a follow-up to the episode today. You can also go on over to our blog, FamilyLawHeadquarters.com, and check out the article titled Nourishing Things to Do While Going Through a Divorce. The date of this article is October 1st, 2021. So you can definitely read this article as a follow-up to the podcast here today. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the topic itself. Individuals going through divorce are often stressed, right? This can be one of the most emotionally difficult experiences for anybody. It can feel like their life and the life of their kids is just hanging in the balance. There's also a lot of uncertainty for individuals when they're going through a divorce. I mean, they wonder, what's going to happen is to the kids, or, what's going to happen is to property and debt, or child support, or spousal maintenance, or you name it. And this uncertainty can cause a lot of stress. It can cause individuals to worry, to have anxiety, and to just be concerned about the future. And this concern about the future can make it very hard for individuals to plan in terms of what they do. What do they do financially? What do they do in terms of the kids? I mean, you name it. It's just such a wide range of issues that are out there, and it can really be overwhelming for a lot of individuals when they're going through divorce itself. And this is particularly true given cases that are more complex. So a case that's more complex, right, it can take months. Sometimes these divorces can take more than a year in terms of having a trial date. It could be a situation where the case goes up on appeal, and so lots of worry, lots of anxiety, lots of uncertainty, and for lots of individuals going through divorce, again, this can be hard and perhaps the hardest experience that anybody, will really ever go through. And so what do you do if you're going through a divorce in order to take your mind off it? What do you do to enrich yourself or to nourish yourself when going through a divorce so that you're really in the best position from a psychological position, from an emotional position, and in terms of really being able to get from point A, which is really the circumstance where the divorce began, to point B, where the divorce is over, and being in a spot kind of like a marathon runner, if you will, where you've really conditioned yourself for the long haul from an emotional standpoint. So let's go through some potential tips in terms of how does one nourish themselves or enrich themselves while going through divorce. And I'll give a list of some items. Obviously, for other individuals out there, they might have their own things that make them feel better, that help them take their mind off the divorce itself. So this is just a list of some potential things individuals ought to think about. But again, for every individual going through divorce, it's good to take kind of an inventory toward the beginning of the case. Like what things in life make you happy? What things in life enrich you? What things in life energize you and make you feel better? And those are things oftentimes to think about when going through divorce. Of course, the action item or the list, if you will, ought to be items that are enriching, that are nourishing, that are things that actually help the individual go to a better place versus some items an individual might enjoy doing on a certain level, but it might not be enriching at the end of the day, right? It might not be nourishing. And so those are things that individuals probably don't want to do while going through divorce. But let's go through a list of some potential things to think about for those going through divorce. The first item is exercising. Physical activity can really help individuals relax. It can help them feel better. There's a lot of research that talks about endorphins, which are these chemicals in your brain, and that these get released when you exercise, and that these endorphins can energize an individual, not just physically, but really emotionally as well. So exercise can be very, very important. Definitely something an individual going through divorce ought to think about putting on their schedule. Now, the type of exercise an individual engages in could be very different based on what somebody likes. It could be jogging, right? It could be biking, maybe lifting weights. It could be yoga. It could be playing on a sports team of some kind. You name it. But exercise can be a very, very good thing, even if it's just walking, right? Lots of individuals like to get out on a nice day, walk, be out in nature. Other individuals maybe not really outside kind of people, so maybe it's just walking on the treadmill, jogging on the treadmill. But exercise, very, very important, definitely something individual ought to think long and hard about. And again, don't overlook the positive effect of endorphins being released upon exercising and how that can really help an individual enrich themselves and really nourish their body and mind while going through a divorce. All right, the next item we have up is spirituality. And I sort of struggle with this term in terms of how to encapsulate it, but faith and beliefs, obviously different for different folks, right? But if you're an individual who likes going to church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple, some other spiritual place, right? And this could be all kinds of things. For some individuals, spirituality is about getting out into nature, right? Seeing the beauty of the world, seeing the beauty of the earth. I mean, you name it. Wherever puts you in a good place from a spiritual perspective, one ought to think about doing that and probably doing it more while going through a divorce. Lots of religious institutions, if you will, also have good social gatherings, good social engagement, right? And that could be a litany of things. But individuals going through divorce ought to think long and hard about that as well. Having faith and hope is just vital while going through divorce. Having that state of mind where you believe that everything's happening for a reason and that ultimately things will work out, things will be okay, is really vital when going through any kind of divorce or family law matter. Also, if you're around other individuals who are equally hopeful, right? Because if you go to various religious institutions, you meet other people. Again, it could be a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple, you name it, whatever works for you. And you're around other individuals who share your faith, who share your hope, who are maybe going through a similar circumstance. And it might not even be that similar. They might just be going through a hard time in their own life. Based on something entirely different, but being around other positive and optimistic individuals can really have a good effect on an individual going through divorce, and it's definitely something to think about, to consider, to contemplate, even if you're not a particularly religious person. Again, it could be yoga. It could be meditating. There could be other relaxation techniques you engage in, but getting to sort of a good mind place can be very important for individuals going through divorce. The next thing we have on the list is friends and family. So if you've got friends and family members who are positive individuals who will provide support to you, individuals who know you perhaps and know you well and can be there for you, that can be very, very important. I think for individuals going through divorce, isolation can be the enemy. Being alone can be unhelpful. Isolation and being alone can cause an individual to be in their thoughts a little bit too much. When individuals are in their thoughts too much while going through divorce, oftentimes that results in them thinking about the divorce, hyper-focusing on the divorce. It can result in worry and anxiety. So being with positive friends and family members can be very, very important. So don't be afraid to reach out if you're going through divorce or family law matter. That said, again, you want to be around positive individuals. You want to be around individuals who care about you, who will be uplifting. So just keep that nuance in mind. Maybe not all friends or family members really fit that bill, but as to the positive ones, think about reaching out to those individuals. It can be very, very important. All right, next up we have hobbies. So if there are hobbies that you enjoy doing, just in general, when going through a divorce or family law matter, think about doing those hobbies and activities more. Now, obviously, if you got the kids, you got to take care of the kids. Nights you have the kids, maybe not the time to be doing the hobbies, but on your free time, maybe the time away from the kids, time when you're alone, think about engaging in these hobbies that you enjoy in life, okay? And everybody's interest as to hobbies can be different. It could be going to the movies. It could be decorating. It could be cooking, right? It could be sewing. It could be knitting. It could be attending sports events. It could be, again, exercising obviously can kind of have this overlap with hobbies. Some individuals really like exercising, and it can kind of take on as being a hobby. Consider doing these things more, getting out, enjoying life, doing the things that you love can be really uplifting and enriching while going through divorce. So definitely get in tune with those hobbies, and if there were hobbies you really enjoyed doing and they sort of took a back seat during the marriage, let's say, it might be time to think about doing those hobbies more. All right, next up on the list is read and listen to podcasts, okay? So there are lots of wonderful books. There's lots of wonderful podcasts out there. Now, for individuals going through a divorce or family law matter, it's important to read books and listen to podcasts that are uplifting. Can be very, very important, right? So you want uplifting stuff that gives hope, stuff that gives relaxation, faith, that everything in life happens for a reason, and that something good is going to inevitably result from the situation, even if you can't see it now. So seek out books, seek out podcasts. And I didn't list this in the article, but another thing to think about is music. Some music can be really positive, can be really uplifting. It can make an individual feel great. But again, it's got to be uplifting. It's got to be positive, something that raises the morale versus lowering the morale. So think about books and podcasts. And in terms of podcasts, lots of podcasts are free out there. So whether you have an Android or whether you have an Apple device or wherever you listen to podcasts, I mean, again, you can search online for podcasts, the App Store for Apple. You can definitely download an app and do searches of podcasts. Definitely something to think about. Definitely can be something that's productive to do while you're alone. You don't have the kids. You're trying to take your mind off of divorce itself. So definitely think about books and podcasts and really uplifting music. The last item I have up on the list is therapy. And look, a divorce is a traumatic experience for most individuals, right? For most individuals, this is hard and this is difficult. And while conceptually lots of individuals might get that divorce is hard, until an individual is really going through it, the pain and anguish of a divorce can be more than what any individual might have imagined, okay? So it's important to see a therapist for most individuals while going through a divorce or family law matter. Now, in saying that, you want to find a good therapist. Again, somebody who's uplifting, somebody who cares, somebody who listens is a big key, right? Good therapists listen, mirror back what you're saying, to ensure they get what it is you're saying, and so that can be very important. And therapists can oftentimes, again, provide some good insight, some good guidance in terms of what an individual might contemplate doing, might have tips in terms of relaxing, in terms of how to take their mind off the divorce itself. So see a good therapist. For individuals who don't know who to see, you might consult with your lawyer. Maybe your lawyer has some names, or maybe these trusted friends or family members are referenced above have been in therapy before, and they can give you some names as well. So definitely think about therapy, okay? So again, this list is not all-encompassing. This list is just my list of things individuals ought to think about in terms of how to enrich themselves while going through divorce. There could be many other possibilities as well. Just make sure if you're going through divorce, you're engaging in productive activity that is enriching or nourishing, if you will. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Again, as a follow-up to this episode, go on over to familylawheadquarters.com. Check out the article dated October 1st, 2021. And the title of that article is Nourishing Things to Do While Going Through Divorce. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Stay tuned to our next episode coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri or Illinois reviews or approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The information you obtain on this podcast is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. You should contact an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us and welcome your calls, letters, and electronic mail. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship. Please do not send any confidential information to us until such time as an attorney-client relationship has been established. And finally, past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Kirk Stange is responsible for the content. Principal place of business, 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 450, Clayton, Missouri, 63105.
We get our weekly groceries delivered through Instacart because once football season starts, game time is family time. I can get everything my family needs for the week, from reliable staples to specialty ingredients, all delivered right to my door in as fast as 1 hour. So I can stay on my game without missing a minute of the game. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.